Hello and welcome to Premier Sim GL. We are here for PCF5, of course, at France round 3 coming up very, very soon. I am Gareth Allen. Alongside me is Epic. How are you doing today?
Oh, very good. What about you, my good friend?
Yeah, I'm happy. I tell you what, we've had so much snowfall. It's been incredible. I don't know where you are up and down the country, but I'm just in the south of the north, I would call it, Sheffield, and we have had bucket loads. It's non-stop snow all day. Have you had much snow where you are?
Yeah, I have. I'm way south from there, but yeah, definitely. We've had some snow, but it's been raining mostly, so it's pretty much
Oh,
all
right.
gone.
Really? Right, okay. Well, it's really settled. It's really, really settled where we are. But anyway, enough about the weather conditions. We're not going to have snow, of course, today. We are in the south of France, the Côte d'Azur, and it is going to be an incredible race, hopefully, at the French Grand Prix. Of course, the last time we'll probably be running the French Grand Prix until who knows when, because, of course, it's not part of next year, or should I say this current season. So probably won't be in the F123 game, this being the last season of F122. Yeah, what are your thoughts on the French Grand Prix and the circuit?
It's by far one of the most interesting and slightly frustrating tracks that I've seen. Starting off, you got that turn one, turn two, very interesting. Quite, you have to be careful with track limits on the inside of turn one and on the outside of turn two. But then you've got this weird winding section towards the end of Sector 1. You've got the long straights of Sector 2, which is pretty much all of Sector 2. It's just straights. And Sector 3 is even more strange, almost like Sector 1, but, more elevation changes. And it's just... And the curbs and the track limits are so frustrating around this track because they're not consistent from corner to corner. Sometimes it's the white line, sometimes it's a specific part of a curb, which makes it quite difficult for drivers on F122 to really know where the track limits are.
Yeah, absolutely. So we could see quite a lot of track limits today. That will certainly be a characteristic of the race. Let's quickly fill our viewers in with the headlines from last week. Hopefully this week you can hear me on this screen. Everything on my screen says I should be. Of course, it was Matteo who won the last race. It was really topsy-turvy. A lot of front runners running into problems. Of course, we saw Sixten Linhart run into a disconnection issue. We saw Snakes going for the overtake of the lead on Leonard Jask, and he was furious about that shunt. We can see that at the bottom. He was livid with the incident, actually, afterwards, complaining that someone 2 seconds a lap would even dare to fight him, but no instant penalty investigation required for that one. So I don't know how Snakes feels about that one. He, of course, is here for Ferrari this week, trying to make amends, score his first points of the season at round 3. Matteo, though, is the one who won and really boosted his championship home, rocketed to the top of the standings. We'll see the standings in just a second. But we also had the securing of podiums back to back for McLaren, of course, because it was his teammate who is Widler, who scored Vidler, I should say, because of course he's Dutch, who scored a second place in Spain. So it was a great result for the McLaren team, up to the top of the constructors, up in the top of the driver's standings. And finally, one to watch today, Mika Biemp has been handed a 2-point penalty onto his licence, so the second driver to get a penalty this year, him and Matti colliding. Of course, Matti, the other driver to have got a penalty so far. He had 5 seconds added to his race time, so that demoted him to 6th position. He did cross the line in 5th, and that demotes him to 6th position. Artois takes 5th position overall, and that's his best result at PSGL ever, of course, for Artois. So, yeah, incredible stuff. I will quickly just head over to the standings, because it is worth going over. Matteo leads by 2 points back to Wildy. Wildy, of course, race winner back in Spain, cruised to victory, lights the flag, but did not have the same look in Singapore. Really was in the walls, in the barriers, in the pits, changing wings, maybe feeling a little bit lucky to even score a point. But yeah, he only scored a point, so he lost first position to Matteo. Matteo, of course, got a 8th place position in Spain, so that really puts him ahead because they both have a winner piece now. Victor Widler didn't attend last week, but he did score 12 points. We have Ivan Santamaria also getting an impressive second position after that killed penalty. He is in fourth position. And finally, Stella Artois, as I said, sixth and fifth place positions. Finishes, and that is incredible in his rookie season. Certainly want to watch, building a bit of consistency here. Finally, just a quick note on the constructors before I hand back for a little bit of analysis, of course, from Epic is McLaren on top, 4 points ahead of Aston Martin. Mercedes have 15 points in third position. What do you rate the drivers to? Who's been impressive so far this season for you, Epic?
I think for me, the one driver who's I commentate in other series, and the one driver who's really turned around his luck in PSGL is Ivan Santamaria. He's driving, as of last race, he drove on another level. He was there throughout the whole race. He never really sort of dipped back miles, but he was never really close enough to make an overtake. But I think that's his strength. When he's in the zone and he's got it right, he can have the pace to keep up. Yeah. And that was an important part to last race, that he waited until the point that he needed to, and then he got that, I believe that would have been second place, I believe.
Yeah, it was second place. After Kild had his penalty applied, he, of course, lost out on track, and he fell down. He fell down into third or fourth position. Kild is down in fourth position off the podium, of course, because I
just want to talk about one driver
who got one. Yes,
is Kine.
Yes,
we need to talk about him because he is a very talented driver. As of last race, of course, he got his first points of the season, getting third place. But the strange thing is, he's one of these drivers that I see quite a lot, is where they struggle a bit in qualifying. They're not really there. And then in the race, they seem to almost be like a bit of a reverse Charles Leclerc. Really strong race pace, almost like a Fernando Alonso, really struggles a bit in qualifying, but really strong in the race. And that's what I think Kine really proved last race.
Yeah, absolutely. He, of course, picked up third position. That put Aston Martin in good stead, of course, with Wildy not scoring too well. It was important for him and the team to score those points. But let's just quickly jump over to the track map here. Of course, we are at Le Castellet, the Circuit de Paul Ricard, 3.6 miles, 15 turns. And, of course, we have 2 DRS zones on the Mistral Straight and the Start-Finish Straight too. So it could be lots of opportunity for overtaking and instant into Sin, which is of course a right-hander, and then you have Beausset, the long right-hander, and we do actually have cars out on track at the moment, so we'll jump into the session a little bit more. But yeah, Cayenne was mighty impressive, and I'm looking forward to seeing what he could do here. He had a little bit of a off start. I think he actually didn't race in the first time out, but if he can build up a bit ahead of steam, it could be interesting. 15 drivers today. What are your predictions for pole position? What time position are you expecting?
It's very difficult around this track. It's a very mixed track. I think honestly we'll have to see the first times, because it depends on how much they're pushing as well. Because with this track, you can, if you're taking it safe, you can leave so much lap time compared to if you're pushing. So we could be seeing anything around 1 minute, high 1 minute 29s to 1 minute 31s, I would say. So it's quite a big gap we could be seeing for pole. But my prediction is that we'll probably be seeing a driver like, it's so difficult to say, but probably a driver like Matteo as championship leader, or even Wildy go for pole. But I do think Snakes is going to try and get a bit of revenge and get a return to the top of the times here. But it all just depends on who has been practicing the most and who's been pushing the most out of anybody. Because, like we know, the first times can be very tricky and can trick commentators quite a lot.
Yeah, of course, lots of track evolution expected. Snakes getting a pole position last time out. He'll be expecting a performance from himself here in PC F5. But it's Emmy who will watch come through the first couple of corners through the air, and 1 and 2. Running a little bit wide, actually, out of 2. That will compromise his run down to turn 3. That's Hotel. We saw Schumacher massively cut that in qualifying last year. And now through the tricky 4, 5 and 6 complex, you've got to really emphasise the exit of 6, because it becomes a flat-out run down the Mistral Straight, named after the Mistral wind that blows off of the sea from the Côte d'Azur towards the Montreal chicane. He's got a little bit of traffic up front as we ride on board with the Alfa Romeo. Rookie driver, consistent points positions in the last 2 races, and he is hoping he can clear that traffic before he reaches the right-hander of Scene. We'll see cars go too wide around here, but we don't have DRS on this part of the Mistral Straight, and it will be chaotic into Beausset. This right-hander at turn 11, hairpin right-hander, deceptively long into a hairpin left-hander. That's Ben Dorr. That's turn 12. Again, really deceptive, and maybe just not rotating the car through the final bit of that corner. Now around turns 13, 14, and the final corner of 15. Let's see how Emmy has done. He is very decent through the middle sector, but not fastest through the first and second sectors. Actually, Matty and Kuipers holding that at the moment, but Emmy sets a time of 1:30.4 going over the line.
Very good lap there, especially for the first lap. I did not expect that from first lap. Bit faster than I thought, to be honest. But Kine is going slower at the moment, although he wasn't pushing on his latest lap. So that just makes me think, as you see, Kine doesn't go fast enough. I'm trying to look for the next driver. And Vidler goes fastest, only not that much faster. So obviously showing that there isn't a lot more not much more sort of lap time on the track for first runs. The Snakes does a 30.1. You see what I said? The revenge is coming back. But this is one of the important things. I just wanted to say that Stella Artois, he's just gone 4th, proving that there's a bit of a gap between the front 4 and anybody else. But the main thing with Stella Artois is that he might not be the fastest on track, but he is by far the most consistent.
Yeah, absolutely. Consistency can win championships. We saw that with Keke Rosberg back in 1982, only winning 1 race that year, but took the championship for Williams. And, of course, part of the Rosberg dynasty, racing under the finish flag. But it's Matty who's gone to the top of the timing screens. A little bit of information from someone called him Frantic in chat. Add TV8 to Emmy's name. Presumably, in my racing league tools, I don't actually have TV8 set, but he's now a TV8 driver. So that's nice work for him to secure that new team, and we'll see how his pace progresses under that esports outfit. And out there at the moment is Wildy. He is pushing on a lap, actually fastest of all through the first sector, having the Haas just on the apex through Montreal. This may compromise his time a little bit. That's actually Matty, who's already set his lap, and Wildy may be quite frustrated here, maybe losing time and not able to capitalise on the slipstream of the McLaren through the second sector. It's not fastest of all. That belongs to Benche Fazkas, but Fazkas, I think, has had to run multiple laps out there. So he is, he messed up his first lap, so he had to improve on his second. So that isn't an absolute pacer he could do, but it is the fastest middle sector for Benche Fazkas. Now it's actually Ivan Santa Maria who goes fastest in the middle sector as Wildy spins it out of Ben Dorr. So he will be coming into the pit shortly. Our first week's race winner back in Spain, Ivan Santa Maria, absolutely pushing all the way to the right, just keeping within track limits. That was nice stuff, but he comes into the pit, so clearly he feels like his lap is over, but he did actually get the fastest middle sector there. So both the fastest and first middle sector haven't completed lap times here. That's Wildy and Ivan Santamaria, so more pace to come, and don't expect the timing screen to stay as it is. Matty in provisional pole from Snakes, and Benche Fazkas here.
Yeah, definitely. I'm currently on board with Matteo. So far, quite an interesting lap he's had. He's getting the apexes, which is better than most drivers, but this circuit, Paul Ricard, is such a specific track that it's not, as Matteo goes into the pits, but still, it's such a specific track because a lot of these drivers seem to be able to favour the throttle application and the driving style for this track, but it's almost like the braking, the way that you brake around this track is so important. It's different compared to most tracks because you have to be careful. You have to be incredibly careful at some corners, and then you have to just push down, but then you have to release carefully at others. And so there's a very different style around this track, and I think that's what makes this track so difficult, is that there is this challenge of braking instead of the challenge of making sure you get the throttle right or your steering right. It's more the challenge that you wouldn't expect.
Yeah, I agree with you. It is, it's a very unique circuit. I think it will be a loss from the calendar next year, and yeah, of course, being replaced by other tracks such as Las Vegas, not being able to hold down a French Grand Prix, and it's a historic Grand Prix to have a French Grand Prix. Some may call it the home of motor racing, really, and we owe a lot to it. But of course, it's kind of bounced around different circuits. Where Paul Ricard joined the 80s, and of course the teens. Magny-Cours in the late 90s and noughties, where Pau back in the early days as well also hosted circuits, and a few disused circuits around the French Grand Prix. So maybe not a historic track, but certainly an historic Grand Prix. We saw Cayenne actually invalidate his time, and he gave up basically immediately. And as Victor Widler is going out on a second lap at the moment, do you want to talk us through the McLaren driver's lap?
So here we go into turn 1, braking around 70 meters, getting it good through turn 1 and turn 2. Very good. By far the best turn 1 and turn 2 I've seen so far in this qualifying between any of the drivers. Coming down now. Oh, it's an invalidation. Very close. Like we were saying earlier, though, at the start of qualifying, this track, it's invalid. He's 3/10 up, though, which would have been nice for him to have, but it's the invalidations and it's the track limits that really get you around this track more than anything else. I believe it's Matteo Limburger is the next one on a lap, and he's half a tenth up so far, but he's got some traffic. So it's quite strange where he's come out, because he's come out in this sort of middle pack that I call it, because you haven't got anybody close behind you on a hot lap, neither do you have anybody close ahead of you, but you've more got traffic, and he's half a second up. That's very important for him. As it stands, that's not going to gain him any positions. But it does just look like Matteo Limburger is struggling a bit around this track. It does look like he is... It just looks like he's not confident on the throttle. And he's just looking for possibly a car in front of him to guide him slightly with the racing line. But so far, it's actually not going too badly on his lap. Into the left-hander. 2 corners left. Going safe again, not really pushing. He does have a Ferrari in front of him. Bit of dirty air. Because he got quite a lot of understeer into the last corner. Now, coming up to the line, what can he do? I forgot the line was a bit later than usual. It's only 3.5 tenths, and it's still 8th place.
Yep, so only improving a little bit there. If you're interested in any GT Omega projects, type !GT Omega in chat. You could use PSGL in checkout for 5% off their products. And yeah, I've got a chair. It's lasted me 3 or 4 years actually. So still no signs of wear there. So good products, and that's a bona fide. Yeah, no one's paying me to say that one. Even if it does sponsor the league. Yeah, Lindhart to the top.
Goes fastest. 29.8. That's a big gap. You know, I know there's probably a lot of track evolution, but that is quite a big difference, because I'm not seeing, as it stands, any other drivers putting in that sort of lap time. As Snakes actually goes fastest in the middle sector, but it's still, as it stands, not enough for him to take pole, well, provisional pole. So he definitely needs to find something a little bit more in his lap time, as Matty went fastest as well in the middle sector. So everybody's picking up pace. I suspect that Lindhart might get one more lap in, but I don't think he can get any more than one lap in.
Yeah, well, I tell you what, Kuipers and Lindhart, they are probably one of the strongest pairings on the grid. Of course, we didn't see Kuipers last week, and he got involved in a bit of kerfuffle in race 1. So we haven't seen Kuipers' true pace. As Snakes goes to the top of the timing screens and puts it into provisional pole, down for 1:29.785. But Matty out there at the moment going quick and loses quite a bit of time out the final sector, because it was a first and second fastest sectors for him, but losing a big chunk in the final sector, and it means he can only settle for second position here with 5 minutes and 38 seconds on the clock in this session. It's Snakes in provisional pole, Matty in second, and Sixten Lanhat in third. Who else is out there on a lap at the moment? Seb. who is yet to set a time and crossing the line at the moment. He's only good enough for 10th position. So, more improvement to be found from him. And, just not being able to set it on fire. I think everyone will be able to do another lap from here. I think as long as you get to the pits with 4 minutes to spare, you can get in and out. New set of tyres, no problem. Wildy also yet to set a lap, and he is coming around Beausset, but it's invalidated again, so it's going to have to be last lap heroics if he's going to get anything out of this qualifying session. It could be a shocker if he starts from the back. Of course, second in the championship, Ivan Santamaria, another driver who is under pressure because no time has been set. Cayenne way off the pace, but he has been improving out there. Actually found a second through the first sector, 2 seconds through the middle sector, so obviously not massive laps from him first time round. And the driver who races for Aston Martin finished third last time out could be rocketing up the timing screens here, certainly getting into the top 5 positions. I think with this time he's going to come to the line, as you say, very late, and the checkered flag is there and he crosses it and into 4th position. So the 4th car into the 129s here. Impressive pace from Cayenne.
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, he is a driver that I think is by far, I would say, one of the most promising. I think he is almost the dark horse this season. We saw in round 2, he came out of nowhere to get that P3, and we're seeing it again. I think Kine is continuing in his almost dark horse effect, where he is just, he's not top of the times, but he's there. And I think that is possibly what's worrying a couple of drivers, is that he is there. But he might not always be in the best position. But it's that sort of feeling that you've got a driver right on your back that's always right there. As we see, there's only one driver out on track, and that is Vidler, who I believe will be going for another lap. I'm not sure. He's currently saved all of his EIS. I think he is coming in. No, he's not. He's going for a lap.
Checking you there.
Honestly, if you want to run through with this, but I've just seen that he's coming out in traffic.
Yeah, traffic coming out for the final laps. They'll be, of course, quick to get out of the way. Qualifying bans if you do block, I do believe, in this league. Someone can correct me if I'm wrong about that one. Hello to everyone in chat. Kilda saying he's away on a skiing holiday. Have a good time. Emphatic hello. Arayan Sanya, good driver. He's very, very quick. Actually won the 7th round of the Creator Series, I believe. Maybe I shouldn't mention that, but he did do that in the first season. He's in the chat. Hello to them. Mike Klein saying they've been cooking, and Wildy says game over. So maybe he's really struggling out there at the moment, but he is coming out for a lap. Victor Widler through the first sector, currently in 10th position, improved by a 10th and a half. The McLaren driver finishing second in Spain, not racing last week, will want to bounce back, sitting third in the championship, I believe. And a bit of a wobble out of Montreal, the chicane that splits the Mistral straight. 167 track configurations of Paul Ricard, and we're running the GP circuit today as he goes through the right-hander as Sin tries to carry as much speed through into Beausset, and you keep braking later and later, and it's when you pick up the throttle is so important. The exit on the run to Ben Door, the left-hander at turn 12, and then you have the right-hander at turn 13 coming up, and he's got a little bit of traffic, but I think he'll just be able to avoid that. Wilder McLaren, it's very sketchy. That may have just cost him a 10th and a half on his time, but Victor Widler improving through the first and second sectors, could be going up to 5th position here, just trumping his teammate Matteo, and he's across the line and only good enough for 6th. So 6th position will be where he finishes at best, starts at best tomorrow. I'm sure the times will come down. We have a number of cars out there on laps.
Yeah, I'm currently looking for the next driver. It's Sixten Linthart, who put in an all-right middle sector, but he is only pushing now. I'm trying to find somebody who is actually on a lap, and that is Wildy. No, it's not.
Yeah, I think there's Stella Artois and Emmy. They're out on laps at the moment. Let's follow Stella.
Yeah, so far, big snap there. He might let off, or he might keep going. That was quite a big snap. Maybe, I would say that's possibly, I don't think he would have lost him lots of time. I would say only about a 10th, but a 10th is what really matters around this track, as we can see in the lap times. So far, not a bad lap from Stella. He's lacking slightly in pace today in qualifying, but like I was saying earlier, he's one of those drivers. He's 7/10 off. I would say this is...
Yeah, Emmy out there on the lap through the final sector. He's pushing at the moment, his teammate.
Here's a 10th up as it stands. So far, not too bad. That will push him up into P. I believe that, as it stands, he'll be P4. So a very important thing for Emmy there, or specifically TV8 Emmy. And now getting the DRS, coming up to the line. What can he do? It's going to be good enough for fourth. Just beating Kine. Very, very strong lap there from Emmy as he cuts the track completely or just misses his breaking the mark.
Yeah, so Astley's over the line. He hasn't improved his time out there in 8th position. We have Artois, who is he going again, Artois? I think he may be. He's pushed through the first sector here. I think he has saved his tyres. Sixten Lindhart to the top of the timing screens at the end of this session. That could be enough. We have Matteo out there on a lap. We have Matty out there on a lap. Coming through the left-hander at Bandor. He'll be the next car to cross over the line. And he's 2 tenths down through the middle sector. So not finding a chunk of time. And I think he may be reeling into the pits. No, he is going to come round and finish his lap. But I'm not sure he's done enough here to improve his time and knock 16 Lindhart out of the top spots. We do have Matteo to come over the line as well. We also have Snakes F1. They all have pace out there. And he doesn't improve. Matteo comes over the line. The McLaren driver who won last week. Only good enough for 6th this week. Then it is Seb in 11th position. Actually, Ben Chaffin at Fazkaz goes up to 3rd. Seb, who is in 11th position. He's going to cross the line very soon. And he is improving on his lap overall, but isn't going to be much, and only just improved. Snakes bails out of his lap. He is into 2nd position, and he is bailed out of his lap here. I think Emmy is going on and going into the pits as well. Stella Artois may be one who is going to push again, and he did. This is his 2nd lap on those tyres, and feels like they have time, but runs very wide and then validates around the final corner. That ends his involvement. Ivan Santamaria isn't going to be improving out there, and I think that is the end of the qualifying session. Round 3, it's going to be Sixten Lindhart, who was so unlucky in Singapore, starting on pole position with last week's polster to Snakes F1 in 2nd. Benche Fazkas, we haven't really said anything about him. He's up into 3rd position, and Matty in 4th. Emmy impressive in 5th position there.
Yeah, definitely. That top 5 is very close, and I suspect we're going to see some very close racing. But I have to say, one driver that I'm quite shocked that really struggled, well, 2 drivers, was Wildy and Ivan Santamaria, both unable to set lap times, with Wildy starting 14th and Ivan Santamaria starting last place. It was a strange one, to be honest, from those two, because they both seemed to be, looking at their lap times, even when they did invalidate, they would have been in the top 7, so that would have really changed up the grid.
Yeah.
But it looked like Wildy looked like his setup was just a bit off. Like he was almost not confident with it. And Ivan Santamaria just kept on pushing a little bit too far and pushed track limits just a little bit too much. But another driver we've got to talk about, who we did not expect to be doing so well so far, is Bence Fezkas.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah,
very good from the Hungarian driver.
Incredible pace, and we'll see what he can do in the race. We're going to jump to a quick advertisement, and then we'll be back for 27 laps of this circuit. Welcome back. We are 5 seconds away from the race start, and it's going to be an exciting one. We have Sixten Lindhart on pole from the Ferrari driver in 2nd position. The light sequence about to kick off here in France. We have 3 lights, 4 lights, 5, and we go racing in France, and it looks to be a very good start from Snakes, who looks to take the lead into turn 1. Actually, Benche Fazkas is going to put pressure on the pole sitter around the outside of turn 1. He's going to try and hang it out there, but thinks better of it. Tucks into 3rd position. In the background, there's battling, and it's off for Cayenne. He leaves the track, and that is a massive spin for him. He's joining his Aston Martin teammate at the back, and it is a huge start there.
Yeah, very good start. Also, good start from Stella Artois, up 2 places. Like you said, a very good start from as well. Snakes to take the lead of the race. We see Wildy also round on those hard tyres. Bad start from both of the Aston Martins. Looking up ahead, trying to find the next driver. It is Matteo who's going for the move on Timo, and he doesn't. He chooses not to go for it. There's a bit of a battle, just a bit up ahead between Victor Vidler and Matty. What's going to happen here? Side by side, going to the fast right-hander. They're still side by side. They're still pushing. They're still side by side. Now down into the long right-hander. It's still side by side. One of the longest side by side actions. And it is Matthew who comes off out of the two better. And Stella Antoine makes the move on Timo Kuipers, if you meant to say it like that.
It's Timo Kuipers. I've had this conversation with him before.
There we go. And Kuipers loses out. P7, struggle from Matteo, struggling a bit for downforce it looks like, but a very solid start from a couple of drivers, and a bit of a struggle from both of the Aston Martins.
Yeah,
there's a bit of something's come off a car, I think it is.
Yeah, I think it was actually Artois hitting a DOS bollard, and he actually loses seventh position to Kuipers, who uses that running wide moment wildly out the race. He's retired in the pit. I'd love to know what's happened to him. Let me know in chat. But our race winner from week 1, again having no luck. He won't score any points here. Second place will probably go to someone else in the championship, and it's Snakes who leads here on lap 2. The content creator in the Ferrari, setting up his content stream certainly for this week. But it's Kuipers battling Widler. He's pulling out of the slipstream and going to go up the inside into Montreal at turn 8 and takes that place. Kuipers on the move here for AlphaTauri.
Yeah, definitely. And if you just pass your eyes a little bit down towards 14th place, quite specifically, it's Matteo. It looks like he's had a bit of a moment, like he's spun or he's gone off track and he's had an issue because he's last.
Yeah, very strange.
I'm not sure what
Matteo.
happened there. He was up in, I believe it's 6th place, and that's why Kuipers is now up in 6th instead. I'm not sure what happened there, and there is an Aston Martin off. That is Wildy. I just realised that's the AI of Wildy
coming out the pits. Weird thing, isn't it?
But a very good start from Snakes. It was a strange start because at first it looked like Lindhart. I was on board with him. It actually, looking behind, he actually had the better initial start, but it looked like he just wasn't confident enough on the throttle. He does get the fastest lap though, which is very important, which shows that he is so far best of the rest on pace.
I tell you what,
but a very interesting start.
Kuipers, we spoke about him already, besting his teammate and getting the fastest lap off him. Kuipers certainly looking to put the pressure on Matty for 5th position here. And yeah, I mentioned the AlphaTauri too. They are absolutely ones to watch in the championship. They've not had much luck through the first and second race. And Lindhart really arguably should have been the race winner last time out, but had that disconnection under the second safety car. Actually, I think it was a blue screen crash or something along those lines. But very disappointing for him. Wildy says he's got issues with his brake pedal, so a mechanical issue for Wildy has took him out. And there's a big moment from Matty into Montreal, and I wonder if Kuipers will try and aim that up for an overtake here. But everyone else's DRS all the way down to 11th, but there's a spinner. It's Matteo Lindberg. He's spun out of the chicane and he's going to lose 13th position to Matteo here.
Yeah, very disappointing. Again, it looks like another grip issue. It looks like he had another grip issue. But talking of race starts, we've got to talk about Ivan Santamaria. Up into P10, up 5 places. Remember, he was last. And so it's been almost the start of dreams for Ivan Santamaria. Especially at a track like this where we know you can struggle for grip slightly. But somehow he's been able to almost be the overtaking king around this track.
Yeah, well, we see Matteo Lindberg come into the pits. The Red Bull team are reporting that he's picked up wing damage out there, so that compounds his misery. Starting on those hards, he'll have to switch onto a pair of the yellow stripe medium compound tyre. Those won't get to the end. He'll be hoping for a safety car here to bring himself back into this session. And yeah, absolutely, Ivan Santamaria is doing well in 10th position in the Williams. He's crept up into the point scoring positions, only 5 tenths behind Seb. Now the real battle at the front is of course Snakes and Sixten Lindhart, and he is closing and closing on the run up to the chicane, and it is not quite close enough. So Snakes seems to have decent straight line speed, but he's gone very hot into the Montreal chicane, and that could give Lindhart a sniff through Sin and an attempt at an overtake through Beausset. It depends on how much ERS he wants to use and whether he's quite happy just sitting in the tow, conserving the petrol. Of course, a low chance of safety car at this circuit, a very open circuit, and I don't think we'll be seeing one, will we, Epic?
No, definitely not. The percentage, I believe, is only around a 19% chance to get a safety car around the French Grand Prix, and that's real life, sadly. I don't know the stats for the F1 game.
Probably a little bit higher, let's face it.
Yeah, 89, let's be honest. But honestly, no, thing is, with real life, it's a very low percentage. It's one of the lowest, actually, out of all of the tracks that featured on the 2022 calendar. And so here, it's going to be quite interesting to see if there is a safety car, but the fact that the track is so wide and there's so much free space, even if you spin off, there's no worry that you're going to hit into a wall, because there's so much space. I mean, I could drive for about 8 miles until I hit a wall around this track.
Yeah.
But it's that good. I think it does make it good, though, that racing does continue around this track, no matter, even if you make a mistake.
Yeah, hello to everyone in chat. Richie, big shout out to him. And yeah, everyone else in chat, thank you for getting involved and let us know how you're finding the race. Kuipers was a little bit closer to Matty there, actually, through that first section, but actually has made a little bit of a mistake onto the Mistral, and he is in 6th position, of course, was on a big move at the start, has managed to break the toe of Victor Widler behind. Widler's a man with pace out there, and we saw that he got second in Spain a couple of rounds ago. Of course, Kuipers having an awful time there, but not having an awful time here. He was away on his travels last week, and he's looking to secure some good points on the board. Of course, we're still early in to season 33 of the PSGL PC F5 tier, and still anyone's game in the championship. The leader of the championship being Mathieu, running down in 13th position. Second place is Wildy. They're on 19 and 17 points apiece. A win for someone who's yet to score points. For example, Snakes could bring them right into the championship battle here, as Matteo, it looks not likely to score points. Wildy won't be scoring points today, and Snakes F1 will know that, but he's got Sixten Lindhart right behind, who currently sits way down the order. Actually, I don't think he's yet to score any points, is he, Lindhart? And he did score 2 points in the first round, so he finished 9th position, but he will be looking to also get the lead. If he got the lead here, he could possibly be sitting at the top of the championship at the end of the day. It all depends on how it falls, but Snakes F1 certainly feeling the pressure just a little bit, but holding a lot of ERS out there, and neither car's flashing at the front here, but it does close, and it does close to 2 tenths. And does he think about a move? No, just trying to put the pressure on the Scuderia, the Scarlet Ferrari. Ooh, a bit of a moment though from Lindhart, and there isn't too far. We are again failing to mention Benche, but he's not too far behind here, but these two certainly are pushing into Sin, the right-hander here, on lap 6 as we come to Beausset as well. It closes and closes and closes, and does Lindhart maybe just fancy a sniff of a move? No, not close enough again, but such close racing here in this tier, and it just shows the incredible performance that our drivers race at.
Yeah, it's really on another level with these drivers. They show there is such good racing between them, because they're not like an open lobby. There's not 500,000 crashes. But the difference is between a normal lobby, even full of clean drivers, is that these drivers are incredibly intelligent.
Yeah, and Kuiper's making a move here.
Oh, I'm going to look back to that.
Well, he's made the move. He's up to 5th position. Quite easy and done on the DRS straight there, the start-finish straight that is. And now he'll try and close down on 4th position. Emmy, the rookie PSGL driver, driving with a good result here. He's quite far up and actually looking to put pressure on Benche in the top 3 himself.
Yeah, and Matty gets a 3-second penalty. This is going to hurt his chances for points. As it stands, he will be knocked outside of the top 10. That's going to really hurt him in this race. But talking about this, there's almost a move between Linthart and Snakes up in front. I feel like Sixten Linthart is just using Snakes for DRS just to stay ahead of Benche and Emmy, who, like I was saying, Emmy is one of those drivers who just seems to be there. You know, this time, we were talking about Kine and how he could be there, and Stella Antoine, but this time it's the other alpha male of Emmy that is there. And also Benche. We've got to talk about this guy. Now, I have realised something, is the EOS difference between the drivers. Sixten Linthart and Snakes, both above 90% EOS. Benche has about 50% EOS as it stands, and behind him it's the same with Emmy. So, is it possibly that the two behind are having to push quite a lot to stay within DRS? And, for instance, Linthart and Snakes aren't? Or is it just purely because Linthart and Snakes are closer that they're not having to use as much?
Yeah, maybe. Interesting. I couldn't quite decide which way that would go, but these front two really seeming to sip it very, very gradually, this EOS, and not having to press too hard here, whereas the cars behind, such as Benche, yeah, absolutely, on half ERS, should I say, and certainly under pressure. Emmy looking to put pressure on the cars in front, but that means that Snakes and Linthart have pace unlocked on one another, and Matteo Limburger retires from the Grand Prix. He's come into the pit, so we shouldn't see any cautions out on track other than the temporary yellows that will be waved on the start-finish straight. I wonder what's happened to Limburger, of course, one of our reserve drivers filling in for the second Red Bull seat, and that's going to be disappointing for him. Not going to get too many opportunities to perform, but he's had to dunk out of the session, and that is the end of his involvement. Sixten Linthart in the sister AlphaTauri team, only 2 tenths behind Snakes F1. But you do, as you say, you do just get the feeling these two are enjoying the lead of the race, and just know that they just need to manage their fuel consumption. Very heavy on fuel around here. Linthart will be happy to just sit in the DRS and be towed along the long Mistral straight here. And you do just get a feel that these two are the real players in the race. But Kuipers is desperate to come up through the order. But it is just a DRS train from first all the way down to 12th position. Everyone in everyone's DRS, and it's a bit checkmate and I wouldn't say stale, but a bit hard to break that DRS toe at the moment.
Yeah, definitely. As we see Victor Vidler get a penalty, a 3-second penalty for track limits, like we were saying before. And as I've mentioned, it's the track limits that these guys are being careful at, and that's what you've got to think about, is that these drivers, they're not thinking about, especially Sixten Linthart, he's thinking, well, I know I'm about as fast as Snakes as long as I've got DRS. That's fine. But what he's worried about is getting a penalty. And that's what, of course, all drivers don't want to get. But what's starting to happen now is that Sixten Linthart is just, I suspect at this point, he's just starting to think, but what if I did go for the move? What if I am a lot faster than Snakes and I get outside that 1 second and he doesn't have DRS on me? Could I keep on pulling out in front? And that's the big question for Sixten Linthart here, is that does he take the risk? And if it succeeds, he takes a really good lead. Or if it fails, he could lose out maybe not just one, but possibly more positions than that if he makes a big mistake.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a risk versus reward for Sixten Linthart. Both Snakes and Sixten yet to score any big points in the championship. Snakes on 0, Sixten on only 2 points, but certainly have the pace to be fighting at the top end. And I think both of them know a silly rash move could end their day. We saw that in IndyCar at St. Petersburg, and Grosjean coming together with Scott. Who was it? Anyway, he came together with another driver, and those were both out of the race. Yeah, it's Roman Grosjean and Scotty something, I can't remember. But we saw that, and it meant that Marcus Ericsson crept through to victory, and that could be very much Benche Fazkaz's position here, and he's in third position probably just hoping these two wipe each other out. But these two drivers are good, clean driving, and they'll be up for an honest, clean race through the rest of it. Matteo, just a little bit of drift here. He will be looking for potentially a safety car to bring him back into the points paying position. Being off the DRS is so crucial here as we come around. Seen the right-hander at the end of the Mistral for the 10th time. It's Sixten Lindhardt still just sitting behind, but Kuiper's very close to the back of Artois here, and even looking up the inside at Beausset, because Emmy has gone very deep, and he's going to try and keep it around the outside at Ben Dawn. The Alfa Romeo of Emmy just keeping enough pace to keep Kuipers behind now, recovering from going too deep. But Kuipers is going to have DRS down the start-finish straight, and he will look to capitalise if we go on board with him. What is his exit out the final corner? It's just not quite there, and I think Emmy is going to keep that one out. Meanwhile, Seb and Ivan Santamaria battling here, and I think Seb has maintained ninth position, actually the quickest car out there through the speed gates. Actually, that's Asseles. So Asseles, quickest car through the speed gates out there. But yeah, Seb maintains ninth position as well there. We're starting to see the drivers get a little bit itchy.
Yeah, definitely. I do think there is a lot you've got to think about, though. It's how long do you want these tyres to last? Do you want to go aggressive, or do you want to go more passive and hope for something to happen? And that's the whole difference between... I think that's the whole difference between, as we hear Martin Bundle say quite a lot of the time, a good driver and a great one, is that, you know, the great one is willing to be patient but knows when to be aggressive, compared to a good one that just sort of goes for it. And that's what we're seeing here between, I would say, all of the drivers at the moment. They're all just knowing what they're doing, they're all just taking their time, and they're all playing more of a strategy game than the racing game. And I think that's what makes F1 and F1 22 and league racing in general so exciting, is that it's not just driving, it's strategy, and it's using the power of your mind to win.
Yeah, very much a game of concentration, mind, and power, of course. And yeah, I agree. Very much love league racing here. Of course, we have plenty of it across PSGL. We have the PC tiers coming up this weekend. There'll even be races ongoing when we finish up tonight. And yeah, stay tuned for more racing throughout the rest of season 33 here. Artois looking to make a move on Victor Widler that last lap. I think Widler had a little bit of a mistake at Beausset, the right-hander, after Sin, and yeah, he is looking to capitalise on any mistakes out there. Of course, Widler not having the DRS, so seemingly to have enough straight line speed to keep Artois at bay, but if he gets by, it could be uncorking the bottle out there. Widler, of course, carrying some penalties. Let's check how many penalties there are. Matty having 3 seconds. Victor Widler having 3 seconds of penalties. At the moment, they would both lose places with that, but it's only lap 12 of 27 here in France, and we have the race leader Snakes out there. He's been leading the race all the way since turn 1, when he got a much better start than Sixten Lindhardt. Lindhardt was under pressure from Benche Fazcaz, but actually Lindhardt closing on the Ferrari, and the two Italian teams go wheel to wheel, but they just it's just not quite there. He just wish for maybe 2 kilometers more pace into those final corners to get the move done. But as we say, it's not all being put on the line at the moment. These two both managing their ERS.
And there's a battle between Ivan Santamaria and Seb over P9. They're still almost side by side. They are side by side going into the hairpin, into the last corner. Ivan Santamaria going for a better exit, but just Seb blocks it. That's the one difficulty with the last corner, is that it's so tight and it's not that wide there, which means the car on the inside pretty much can block you off for as long as it wants and still get as good as an exit. Yeah. But we need to talk about one little battle on track that is going on that's a little bit further back, and that's between Stella Artois and Victor Widler, because this could be quite important because of one main thing. It's when the leaders pit, because these guys might be leading then, and so it all depends. You know, if these guys pit a few laps later or earlier, because if they pit earlier and they get the undercut, that's going to be quite important for the leaders, that they are that close. As you see, there's a bit of a split now, isn't there? There's the sort of top six sort of there on their own, and then there's the seventh and below who are all there, and then there's Massio all alone, all on his own. But Stella Antoine needs to make this move soon because although he's riding in the DRS, he is faster. I've been looking at the lap times. For the last 4 laps, he's been going around 3-4 tenths faster. And so if he doesn't, and it's just purely dirty air that really affects you around this track, and that's what's affecting him. And they're not catching on up to anybody, and they're just losing more and more time as they go round. And so really, Stella Antoine needs to make that move now.
Yeah, and when do you think the pit strategy will open? What's the earliest we see cars come in? And actually, I think we're going to see a car come in, and it's Ivan Santamaria. As I asked that question, he blinks first. I don't think he's carrying any damage out there, so he's decided to get out of this DRS trade. The Williams car will be going all the way to the end of the pit lane here, putting on a pair of medium tyres. It will feel like an eternity in the pit lane, but if he can activate those and turn them on, he won't have any traffic out on track, and this could trigger the first round of pit stops, and I think it will trigger the first round of pit stops. Ivan Santamaria, who was running in 10th position, and I wonder if we see the likes of Whittler, Artois, Seb all coming to the pits to cover off the Williams driver here.
Yeah, they might. I think the drivers from 7th and below will try and cover him. It all depends because, you see, the drivers who are in 7th and 8th, and 9th, they're waiting for the leaders pit because they want to follow what the leaders are doing, and because they might have the best strategy, and that's the one thing everybody else is always looking at is the leaders and what they're doing. And as it stands, the leaders are pushing, so I suspect this could be an in-lap to go into the pits, but we'll have to see as they come round. Only 2 more corners now to go until they do get to the pit lane entry. Of course, remember, you've got to stay inside of that white line as you come up to the corner. Let's see. Snakes is not going for it, but Sixten Linthart does. Was it a dummy? Was it a good idea? We'll have to see. He's going for the undercut, and we'll have to see if Snakes goes for the overcut, will it work? As Snakes puts in the fastest lap of the race at the same time.
Both Kuipers and Sixten Linthart pitting on the same lap. I wonder if they'll get double stacked and a little bit slowed down here overall, but Kuipers, I think, is just slowed up a little bit. That didn't work out. Teamwork not great between the two, and now he's being held at the end of the pit lane. But of course, well, it'd be interesting to see where Ivan Santamaria can go up to here, because of course this is crucial for Sixten Linthart. And actually, I think Ivan Santamaria is going to go up into the corner side by side with Victor Whittler, and that has worked out like a masterstroke for Ivan Santamaria. He's jumped 3 cars, and this could prove absolutely crucial and brilliant for Sixten Linthart, who has been following Snakes around for so long. But I wonder if Snakes can have better pace to just keep Sixten Linthart at bay. He's warming up his tyres and starting to body them up through the first sector, and it will be so crucial. This is one of the biggest moments of the race so far, lap 15 of this round 3 French Grand Prix, and Sixten Linthart is going to be challenging for the lead of the race here. Snakes has led every lap since overtaking Sixten Linthart off the line, and it is going to be absolutely tuck and go with these cars coming out of pits. We'll expect to see Snakes come in, and he does pit.
Yeah, very important here. I'm just on board with Sixten Linthart. I'm waiting to see where he's going to go. And Benche has a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Massive rookie mistake. We saw the real-life driver of Esteban Ocon make the same mistake, but we'll have to see. As here we are, coming around for Sixten Linthart. Will he jump his rival in this race, Snakes F1, or will he still be behind? Remember, Snakes will have cold tyres. As it stands, I actually think Sixten Linthart has got him. Yes, he does. Coming to the end of the pit lane, Sixten Linthart takes the lead of the French Grand Prix ahead of Snakes with the undercut. What a masterstroke of a strategy. The undercut proving to be the best strategy of all.
And 3 cars staying out there on the hards. They're doing the Valtteri Bottas goal hang for a safety car strategy. Now, if a safety car came out right now, it would jump them a little bit up the order. But will be interesting to see what they do. But Snakes needs to get on with it. He needs to get back in that DRS tow. It's 1.2 seconds is the gap as they come down the Mistral for the 16th time. And he's led so much of this Grand Prix, and he will be desperate to close down on Sixten Lindhardt. And I wonder how feisty it will get between these two. So much more confidence around Montreal, but absolutely chugging the ERS. And you'll see as it comes through the right-hander of Sin, look at the back lights, they are flashing. The ERS has been spent by the Scuderia, and they've had a characteristically poor strategy choice to not pit when they did. But Sixten Lindhardt had the box opposite opportunity because he knew that if Snakes wasn't going to pit, he was going to pit, and he was going to take the lead of this Grand Prix.
Also, by the way, remember, did Matteo pit? I don't know. I'm actually not sure. Let's have a look. He did not. He hasn't pit yet, so he will have to pit this lap most likely. Let's see where Emmy and Seb come out, because as we've seen, the undercut is more powerful. We're going to see Ivan Santamaria jump. First of all, Seb, very important one there. And let's see, who else is he going to jump? No, that is where he will be. But Emmy's weak. Matty gets Emmy off at the exit of turn 2. It's very good for Matty there. He's jumped his real rival in this race. And that is a massive thing there. But also Snakes. Snakes is very close to Sixten Lindhardt coming on to the Mistral straight. Let's see what I can do. He's got DRS. He hasn't got the ERS though. That is what's going to hurt him. He's below 10%. We see that rear light flashing on the Ferrari. As Sixten Lindhardt has over 40% ERS. So he has that strategy in hand that he has that extra ERS to use.
And Emmy has lost a further position there to Ivan Santamaria. So Ivan Santamaria may be the person who he's racing in this race. And Ivan, pitted early, has gone from 10th to 6th position. That could be as good as 4th after penalties are applied. Benche Vasquez speeding in the pit lane on the way in. He's been awarded a 5-second penalty that will be served at his next pit stop, or perhaps at the end of the race if there's no pit stops to the end, and you'd have to predict that there wouldn't be at this stage. Matty, 3 seconds worth of penalties, and that is before track limit warnings, extending the track limits, and he is going to be falling all the way down to 7th or maybe 8th position here with those penalties applied at the moment. Of course, 10 more laps to go here. Anything could happen on the penalty front, and even after the race these could get appealed by the stewards. But Ivan Santamaria, a tactical stroke of genius, could put him up into the podium positions. Of course, Matteo yet to pit, so it would be up to the podium positions. And Emmy, who went long on that pair of hards, showed why you don't do it. Really struggled to get warmth into the tyres through that first sector, and that made it mean he left out to Vasquez, he lost out to Matty, and he lost out to Ivan Santamaria, and that's the one that's going to hurt most. But Emmy will be ever the optimist, and the Alfa Romeo driver in his rookie season at PSGL will be hungry for that first podium.
You're talking about drivers getting hurt in the strategy. Look at Timo Kuipers at the moment, down in P8. He was P5, remember? So he was a lot higher than where he is now. And it just looks like that overcut just did not work. He didn't follow the other drivers. He didn't follow the leaders, who he really should have done. But he's got to fight his way back through the grid now. Of course, with those penalties up ahead, as it stands, he will get up into P7 and possibly P6, but he wants a bit more than that. He wants to get more than that. He wants to get a lot more than that. He's already gained 4 positions in this race. As we see Matteo finally pit in this race, I suspect he's going to try and go for the softs. Now I suspect we will see in a moment what he's going for. He is going for the mediums like everybody else. So very strange strategy. Thinking possibly going longer will help. It might not here, as it currently looks like he will be last in the grid.
That's where he was before he pitted. I guess he felt he had absolutely nothing to lose out there. He was adrift anyway, and he just thought, if I try something a little bit different to everyone else, and the safety car does come, then he'll have fresher rubber and potentially track position over other people, of course, because the pit loss delta a lot less significant under safety car. Of course, use PSGL at checkout on GT Amiga for any of the products. And yeah, just going back to Kuipers, actually, remember Kuipers didn't just lose out because he went longer than the cars around him, but he lost out because he pitted crucially on the same lap as his teammate Sixten Lindhart. Lindhart uses that to his advantage to undercut Snakes, but that backed him up. And there was a little bit of a delay before the crew could service his car, and then he was held up again by cars coming into the pits. So Kuipers will feel frustrated that he has fallen down, but it is Sixten Lindhart in first position and Snakes in second. On the road, Benche Vasquez is in third, but he has a 5-second penalty. Matty also has a 3-second penalty, so it could be the Williams of Ivan Santamaria picking up another podium, of course, finishing second place last time out, and Ivan Santamaria could even be taking the lead of the championship. Leaving here, we'll have to leave all of the speculation and championship standings until after the race, because there's too many permutations to read into. But Ivan Santamaria, we've said it before, it was a tactical masterstroke to come in when he did, really caught up behind Victor Widler, who was just slowing down the pack, and he sensed his opportunity, got those mediums turned up, but going early on those mediums means that he may be vulnerable towards the end. And do you think that is going to cause the Williams driver any problems here, having those mediums being a little bit more worn than the others?
It might, as we see Victor Vidler get another 3-second penalty. It might, to be honest, I don't think it's going to affect him that much. He's used a lot more ERS than everybody else, so as you see, his rear light flashing. Emmy, though, not trying to go for it, though. I think he's trying to use him to catch up to the driver of Matty, who is struggling slightly compared to everybody else. Remember, he has got that penalty along with it. But the one thing for Ivan Santamaria here is that he's got to be smart, because he's burnt through pretty much all of his ERS, all of it now, and he is just struggling to be able to keep up. But the driver in front of him, Matty, is also struggling, and so he could use that to help him slightly in this race. But Emmy is very close, and I think that's what's putting pressure on him.
Yeah, smart driving from Emmy not to maybe go for something disastrous and dangerous lunge, because of course the more you battle, the more you actually slow down your overall lap time and you start to lose out to others. He's probably got one eye on those penalties up ahead, and the gap is roughly 2.5 seconds to Benche Vasquez. He wants to keep that within 5 seconds. He wants to keep within 3 seconds of Matty to get those positions at the line. Snakes is really battling to get back out in front of Sixten Lindhart here, and it was so close out of the pit box, but Sixten Lindhart was behind Snakes for a very long time, and both of these cars seemingly just in a stage where they want to recharge their battery maybe just a bit for the final few laps. We have 6 laps here of the French Grand Prix. Next time we are at Austria, which will be a really fun one. Lots of chance for overtakes there, and if you're used to DRS trains, well, get used to them, because Austria has a few of them. But it is Snakes closing down on Sixten Lindhart, and these two are just so matched on pace, and I can't call it, but I do think track position is so important here, as long as the AlphaTauri driver doesn't make any mistakes. Looking further down the order, Emmy not able to make gains on Ivan Santamaria, just sitting behind, as we said. Kuipers also sitting frustrated in 7th position.
Yeah, definitely. Like you said, that is the thing. They are sitting there, but I do think Snakes is having a bit of frustration. Because first of all, Snakes, he's fast on the straights, he's got DRS, he's got more straight line speed, like we were saying in the first couple of laps of the race, but it just seems like Sixten Lindhart, because of DRS, seems to just have that better cornering and better grip. And I do feel like that is what Snakes is lacking, and I think that is what is ultimately losing him. Pretty much, I would say, about 10 or 15% of his lap time, that he could show, he could get another at least half a second out of the car, but because he's in dirty air, he's struggling to do that. That's why we saw a big difference between, for instance, F1 22 and F1 2020, for instance, is that on F1 2020, there wasn't much dirty air, and you didn't really feel it, so everybody would be much closer to each other. But on this year's game especially, you feel it a lot more. And it also just seems like Snakes' straight line speed advantage has seemed to disappear slightly. Even with DRS, he's not pulling massively faster than Lindhart on the straights. And really, to be able to go for an attack, you've got to be within at least 3/10
And Kuipers and
of the
Ivan
driver ahead.
Santamaria are battling here because I think Emmy has got by Ivan Santamaria, and Kuipers now sensing the opportunity. Actually, contact between the two, picks up a 3-second penalty. Does Kuipers? He'll feel that he was forced off the track and maybe want to take that up with the stewards after the race. There was contact between the two. Emmy up into 5th position, and that is crucially 3rd after penalties are applied. Timo Kuipers up into 6th, but picking up, so many penalties, and he corner cutting, gained 1 place. He has picked up a penalty for overtaking off the track, another one he'll want to protest afterward. But Emmy in 5th position for the Alfa Romeo team isn't giving up on the track position and wants to get this done on track. Only 3 tenths behind the Haas is he as he rounds the final corner and heads on to lap 23 of 27 here. The Alfa Romeo driver is trying to keep up with the cars in front, and he is up in 3rd position after penalties applied, but that gap is so marginal to Benche Fazquez, and I think he knows that he needs to get by Matti, but Benche may have just done enough to keep the cars up at bay. Actually, no, sorry, it's 2 seconds as a gap, so it's not marginal at all. And Matti picks up another 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. That will mean that Emmy feels very safe that he can just cruise behind him and take that position. But Timo Kuipers isn't too far behind, and I do expect him to protest those penalties because he would have felt that he was forced off the track, but did certainly make the move off the track out of Montreal last time out, and has lost just tucking out of the DRS range of Emmy there, but did get DRS crucially, so that has closed up by about 2-3 tenths down the first part of the Mistral as they head to the second part of Mistral. Remember, leader of the race, Sixten Lindhart, 2 tenths is the gap back to Snakes as they head into Beausset, the right-hander. So fast and dramatic, this off-board camera shot, but not close enough again here. What do you think of that bit of action there?
Yeah, definitely. Emmy's still pretty close to Matty, just struggling a bit, it looks like, off of corner exits. So, like I said, dirty air is really affecting these drivers. But out in front, it's quite strange at the moment between Snakes and Lindhart because they're both trying to save ERS. But Snakes also looks like he's getting a bit frustrated, stuck behind, that purely on straight line speed without overtake, he just can't beat him. And I think also Snakes knows that Lindhart has more ERS as well. And so this could end up hurting Snakes more. That he does have less ERS, as then Lindhart can defend further than Snakes can attack. But the one important thing we've got to remember here is that we saw Snakes in the lead for ages, up until the pit stops. And we're seeing it this time with Lindhart. But the difference between this is that we're coming towards the end of the race. This is the last 4 laps of the race. Drivers want to make a move. They want to start to try and get somewhere. And the bit of desperation inside is starting to get to them.
Yeah.
And we see racing between Timo Kuipers and Ivan Santamaria. I just saw that for a minute. But Kuipers still holds on to his P6. So I just saw that and I wanted just to say that. But yeah, as I was saying about Snakes, for him, it's going to be important that he doesn't make a mistake, because that's going to be the most important thing for him. Is if he makes a small mistake and he loses maybe a 10th, and he stays within a second of Sixten Lindhart, that's fine. But if he makes a big mistake and it hurts his race a lot, I would say Sixten Lindhart has pretty much won the race then.
Yeah, I agree. Sixten Lindhart just needs to keep Snakes at bay, and I think both of those cars smartly recharging ERS, but maybe Snakes needs to start burning it and try and put Sixten Lindhart under a bit of pressure. Of course, not using the DRS to its advantage if he can. It's only 3 tenths is the gap as they head on to lap 25. 3 laps of racing here, and there is still places to make. Ivan Santamaria having a whiff at Timo Kuipers last time out, and he probably knows that those penalties are likely to get removed, so he wants to battle. He also doesn't want to lose contact to the cars ahead. If there's any mistakes, that he wants to capitalise on them. But Snakes, 5 tenths, are just struggling so much in the dirty air at camp and sent bound, and that really makes you struggle through turn 7 and onto the Mistral. And it doesn't matter where you are, to be honest. If you're at 5 tenths back, you're just not going to be able to make an opportunity of overtaking. Sixten Lindhardt probably has to make a mistake here, but Snake still just a little bit too far back, and certainly just recharging his ERS. As we say, Sixten Lindhardt has a fair chunk of it. I would say Benche Fazkas is really just keeping an eye out on that battle behind. Emmy could be all the way up into 3rd position. As we cross the line, we expect Kuipers to lose his penalties. Ivan Santamaria not able to close down this lap, so maybe Kuipers just having a little bit of issues out of that tricky technical sector at the top of the circuit.
Yeah, definitely. I just want to cast our eye a little bit further back to this battle over 8th place between Victor Vidler, Stella Artois, and Kine, who at first, at the start of the race, we were not thinking he could score points, but he's going for the move here on Stella Artois. A bit of contact, and he gets the move though. He gets it sealed. It's what he needs. But only 2 laps of racing left. 2 laps for drivers to make a move. We see drivers like Emmy, Ivan Santamaria, Kine all pushing to beat their opponents. As we see Seb get a 3-second penalty, I don't think that's really going to affect him that much. But we see Snakes is pushing now. He is pushing for P1. As we see, he is using a bit of ERS. So is Sixten Lindhardt, but still, I would say he's not within overtaking. He's going to go for it. Last lap move. Ivan Santamaria on Timo Kuipers and Emmy on Matty as well. It was difficult to choose who I wanted to see to overtake, but in the end, Emmy does get P4, and as it stands, he will get up into P3 and get on the podium. Ivan Santamaria, as it stands, will be, I believe he will be P4. So far, going very well there, but there's still some battling going on. Kine is going for it on Victor Vidler. Is he going to make a move? No, he's not. He's not going to make it yet. He's going safe. Acelest not going for a move either. Very quiet race from the WR driver, as he is going for a move on the inside of Stella Artois. Oh, and Victor Vidler's round.
Yeah, Vidler round, and that means he falls out of the points-paying positions here. He had 6 seconds of penalties, but Cayenne is looking to get a hammer down because he has 3 seconds worth of penalties and will want to secure his position as much as possible. I think he'll fall down to 10th, but let's refocus on the lead of the race here as the leaders come through 1 and 2. The gap is 4 tenths. Snakes led for the first stint. Sixten Lindhardt has led for the second stint. Couldn't get my words out there. And Snakes will be desperate to get by Lindhardt here. Onto the Mistral straight. They'll go for the final time. And the gap will close and close and close. But both drivers will be full ERS as Timo Kuipers has a moment further down the order. He's down in 13th position. He will be frustrated. But Snakes is closing into Montreal. That puts Sixten Lindhardt under the littlest bit of pressure. Who's going to get a better drive through the chicane? I think actually Lindhardt has a better exit. He'll go defensive, move over to the right hand side, try to make the toe of the Scuderia behind, and he's going to close up through Sin. Will he go for anything crazy into the Bose right hander? He's very, very close, but I think it's just a little bit too far away for him, and it's going to be a first win for Sixten Lindhardt here, unless Snakes can do something magical here. Around the final sector they go. He's looking for a crack. He's looking for a crack in the armour of Lindhardt, but I don't think he's going to get it. Lindhardt, who was so disappointed to disconnect from the lead of the race last time out at Singapore, is going to make amends here as he crosses the line. He's going to go into first position in the championship, maybe. We'll have to have a look at that, but Snakes into second. He's recovering well, and Benche Fazkas crosses over in third, but it's going to be Emmy who takes his first podium position at PSGL. Congratulations to the Alfa Romeo driver. Benche only falls down to 4th position. Further down the order, we have Ivan Santamaria for 5th, 6th for Matty, Acelest 7th position in the end. Artois picking up some decent points. Cayenne in 9th, and Seb in 10th position, stealing a point at the last. Matteo, who was our championship leader going into the round, run last time in Singapore, only good enough for 11th position. Victor Widler is strewn across the line, and Kuipers so frustrated. I think he may have disconnected. I have no idea what's happened to him, but yeah, I think we should have had the end of the race actually, but we could even see a little bit of a safety car issue here. I wonder if the safety car is going to come out, but yeah, I do not know why we still have this session ongoing. But crazy stuff at the end there. Snakes not managing to get by Sixon Lindhart. He'll be bitterly disappointed. I think it all comes down to that overtake under the pit stops on lap 13 and 14. I think as Kuipers comes round, he's the car that is yet to finish inverted commas, but he has, and he fell down through the order after contact with Ivan Santamaria. I wonder how angry he'll be with that one. Still yet to score points in this championship.
Yeah. Also, one driver that we've got to say is that I believe Ivan Santamaria is now leading the championship.
Yeah, I'll get confirmation on that right after the race.
I will look right now, and I will tell you, as it stands, Ivan Santamaria is the championship leader.
Right, okay. Well, obviously we'll get confirmation of that, but you're calling it as the leader, and it's just I don't know what's quite going on with this session, to be honest. But
well, let's just wait a minute.
Yeah, I'm sure. I feel like people need to leave the session or rejoin the session. I've seen this glitch before, but not for my own eyes. So I'd wonder what is happening, and people are just leaving the session because they know what the results are. But you're calling Ivan Santamaria as leading the championship. Of course, Sixon Lindhart will have 19 points after his win. Who got fastest lap? It was Matteo who got fastest lap. So yeah, congratulations to him. I don't think that is worth a point because it is outside of the points paying positions. But yeah, still managed to steal it off the other drivers. So it would be 16 points to Lindhart and 12 points to Snakes F1. He finally gets his season going here in the third round. Of course, missing the first round, crashing out dramatically after a moment with Leonard Schask into the right-hander at the end of the middle straight at Singapore, and DNFing for the race. He'll be disappointed that he didn't score points there because he could be leading the championship. Emmy just kept back at it. He lost out through the pit stops, but he was one of the few cars in that late stages to be making moves on track, and of course fortunate with the penalties ahead. We don't know if those penalties will definitely be applied, but it was speeding in a pit lane for Benche Fascas. They're usually slam dunk over, and we did see Matty with 6 seconds worth of penalties. That pushed him all the way down into 6th position. Ivan Santamaria in 5th, and yeah, I have no idea what's going on here.
I think just leave.
I don't want to leave because I quite like my setup. But anyway, what we will do is we'll certainly move away from this, and let's go over to our interviews if we can, and see who is actually lined up for interviews here, and if is anyone waiting in the waiting room. They are. So let's go over to let's do this in reverse order this week, and let's bring Emmy in, who finished in 3rd position, the first podium for you at PSGL. How does it feel to finish 3rd position at the French Grand Prix?
It feels very great. Good opportunity to show off the pace, and yeah, a very good race.
Yeah, incredible stuff. Of course, losing out under the safety car, under the pit stops, of course, you ran a lot later than the other cars. Did you feel like you'd blown it, or did you always feel like you could bring yourself back into the fight here?
Nah, I just wanted to do an overcut. I felt like it was powerful, but actually the undercut was more powerful. Yeah, I didn't expect it, to be honest, and I don't know, I think I managed pretty well the situation, and yeah, I'm pretty happy about it.
Yeah, and coming into the race today, did you feel like the French Grand Prix, of course, maybe the last time you ever raced this in league conditions, did you feel like it could be a good day for you coming into today?
No, I didn't actually expect it. I was really like down before the race. I was like, nah, these guys are fast. I'm not going to have a chances for top 10, I was saying. But yeah, it was proven wrong.
Yeah, well, incredible stuff. I'm not quite sure where you are in the championship, but I think you're certainly in the mix there. You and your rookie teammate, Artois, have been getting some good performances in there. And what are you thinking about maybe the Constructors' Championship with your rookie teammate, Artois?
Yeah, I think the constructorship is going to be a close one. I think currently we are P4 or P3 in the constructors. So, yeah, we'll bring the points and hope for the best for the future.
Yeah, well, excellent stuff, Emmy, and congratulations on your podium position. Thank you very much for joining the room. Let's bring in Snakes, who is, of course, finishing second in the race, and he was so quick off the line, maybe agonising to lose out through the pit stop phase. How did you feel finishing second there, Snakes?
Yeah, pretty good race after not finishing last race, so pretty decent points, and P1 and P2 in the championship both didn't get points, I'm pretty sure, so it's really close at the top, I think, now. So yeah, it was a decent race. I had a higher wing than Sixten, so that helped him a bit in the last few laps, and he had more ERS.
Yeah, we saw you charging up the ERS at the end, and it just wasn't quite enough. Did you feel that maybe there was going to be a whiff of opportunity, or did you just think Linthart is just racing so consistently? Your pace was almost matched, and so incredible that neither of you actually overtake each other on track. It was all through the pit stops. Did you feel like there could be a gap in the armour, or just were you resigned to second?
I think just the fact that he had a bit more ERS and more straight line speed made it really hard to get close to actually make the move. So I tried my best to save up as much ERS as possible, but in the end it wasn't enough. And I also had like 2 warnings from after the pit stop, so I had to keep an eye on that as well. So
yeah, and of course your first points of the season. Do you think you could build from here? Of course, you were so frustrated last week, DNFing from what was the lead of the Grand Prix. And I feel like in a different situation, you could certainly be leading on to this one. Of course, you didn't start the race in Spain. So do you feel like you could build towards a championship here with this second position?
Yeah, definitely. If I just keep getting good results, podiums, then I will definitely be up there if I stay consistent.
Yeah, Austria. What do you think of Austria next week?
I have barely driven that track lately, so I have no idea.
Well, fair enough.
We'll see.
Fair enough. Yep. And I guess that's it. Congratulations on second place. Maybe you feel like the first was up for grabs, but thank you very much for joining us in the box.
Thank you.
Now we move over to our race winner, Sixten Linthart. Another driver, very unfortunate in Singapore, but bouncing back in exactly the right way. Points on the board for the AlphaTauri team, and big points for you in the championship. Congratulations on the first win of season 33.
Thank you. Yeah, I don't have much to say. I got a very bad start, grandpa start. Tried going on throttle in second gear, didn't work. But I definitely had the pace advantage throughout the race, so I just stayed behind, got a DS for the undercut. Then spent everything on the undercut and got ahead. So.
Right. So what was like the feeling behind getting ahead of Snakes?
I was nervous as hell. I haven't been that nervous. I almost sped into the pit lane. I did 67, then one millisecond before I touched the brake and go 58. It was so close.
Very close. Fine margins between winning and losing though, but that into the pit lane, probably crucial getting out in front of Snakes. And as you said, you was very nervous about racing with Snakes. Of course, both very clean and very serene all the way through. But absolutely. Your thought process in undercutting him, was it all like was it box opposite, or did you just feel like the undercut was going to be that vital?
I know the undercut was very fast here. I've seen in E-Series, lap 14, someone gained like 4 or 5 positions, so I knew it was very fast. So I had to go for that.
Well, yeah. Very, 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 very well done. And you've picked up some big points in the championships. Before today, you only had 2 points in the championship. So you certainly go up to 19 points. So you'll be level on points with Matteo, who was leading the championship. Now, I think it could be, and it could be Ivan Santamaria who leads the championship. We're not really sure, actually, at the moment.
Maybe Snakes.
Maybe. No, Snakes has only scored 1 second position. That's the only time he scored. Widler also up there in the championship. Artois been lurking about, but he only scored 8 points. No Name didn't race today. Cayenne didn't have a great race today. I'm with Epic with saying that. I think it is Ivan Santamaria who has gone into first in the points, but I think you'll be right up there. Championship charge, is it on for you, Sixten?
Yes.
Great stuff.
Definitely.
And a moment about your teammate, very unlucky at the end there. Do you know what's happened to Timo out there?
I heard something like game crash, but I wasn't in VC. so I don't exactly know what happened.
Yeah, so actually posting in chat at the moment, the game crash on the last lap, AI finished last. So that is painful for Timo.
Yeah.
He was racing very well, of course, had a great start.
Yeah.
And
I saw he was in P5 or something on the hard stint.
Yep, and he, of course, was battling with Ivan Santamaria. I wonder if there's a report or two coming in for that. He would have certainly wanted to get his penalties removed, but that's not going to happen now. But yeah, maybe constructors charge for you both. You both look quick, in fairness.
I think we can get the constructors.
Right, okay. So, yeah, fantastic. Thank you very much for joining the commentary booth. Lindhart, that's how you're saying your name, right? Lindhart?
Yep.
I'm correct on
Yep,
pronunciation?
that's correct.
There we are. I thought I'd check while we were there. But yeah, thank you very much for joining the booth, and we are about to end the session. It's been an enthralling race, maybe not an absolute classic, but still a good one, a good battling for up and down the field. Who's your driver of the day, Epic?
It's so difficult to say, but I've got to say it's you, Sixten Lindhart. You, I mean, from the bad start and the almost, it felt like frustration and a bit of sadness of being stuck behind Snakes for so long, to come back with the undercut and get those needed points to get your first points on the board, especially after Singapore, it was something else.
Thank you. I did my best.
Yeah, well, congratulations for that. And congratulations for the win. And that is the end of the broadcast. Of course, you can watch it back after it is done. Thank you very much for everyone who has joined us, of course, racing throughout the week on the PSGL YouTube channel. And yeah, we'll be back next week for Austria. Any final words on Austria, Sixten, before you go? You big fan of the track?
Turn 1 is very hard on lap 1. That's it.
Okay, turn 1 is very, very hard. We'll see if you do well next time out. But thank you very much for everyone joining the stream. And until next time, goodbye.